And I'm pretty sure we are live. So hello everyone. And thank you so much for joining us for another live video from Boys Town Parenting. My name is Gabby, joined here today with several wonderful experts from Boys Town Parenting as well as Boys Town Central Florida. And we are going to be discussing a topic that is quite timely year-round, and especially during April as we kind of gear up for the end of the school year and going into the summer season. And that is going to be how to care for a stressed child when you yourself are a stressed parent. And you might not be stressed all the time, you might be stressed quite often. And no matter your stress levels, we'll have several tips to share today from our experts to help you navigate stressful times. So first, before we go into our discussion questions, I want to let everyone know that this is an open Q&A. So as we go through our topic, if you have a question for any of our experts pictured here today, you can leave them in the comment section. And of course, make sure you like this video and share it with another parent who might find it helpful. We'll start here with our introductions. Bridget, right above me, you might know her well if you are subscribed to Boys Town Parenting. Bridget, how are you doing today?
I am great, Gabby. Thanks for asking. I think you're right. This is a timely topic and one that many of our parents in our parenting classes ask us about. I am the director for Common Sense Parenting for Boys Town and have been with Boys Town for several decades as a co-author for the books and developer of materials and trainer for thousands of parents and professionals. So super excited to have James and Amanda here today to talk to us about this timely topic. So I'll throw it over to Amanda for her to introduce herself.
Yes, thank you, Bridget. My name is Dr. Amanda Anderson, and I am a psychologist and the clinic director here at the Boys Town Central Florida Behavioral Health Clinic. We're located in Winter Park, and we work with a lot of stressed out families, parents, kids, and we're accepting new referrals. So if you're watching and you know anybody in the Orlando area that is in need of some good parenting tips and strategies to use with their young children and teens related to stress and really any sort of behavior concern, know that we're here and ready to serve our community. I've been with Boys Town since 2015, and I'm very excited that I got invited to be part of this talk today. And then we also have my postdoctoral fellow, Dr. James Wen, who I will allow to introduce himself.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. James Wynn, and I've been at Boys Town for like a year and a half, and I work with, different families, different children, and even teens with whatever they present with. And I know stressed out parents is a huge, huge topic.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, it's so nice to have you on and to join us. And of course, we'll make sure to link in the comment section more information on our Central Florida Behavioral Health Clinic with contact info. If you watch this video and think that it would be a great resource for your family, make sure to check it out after this video concludes. Okay, so getting into our Q&A here, the first question we have is, how does stress manifest differently in children compared to adults? Amanda, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure thing. When I think about stress and how it manifests in children, sometimes we see some physical complaints like stomach aches, headaches, or even some more like internalizing behaviors where they're quieter than usual, they're not as engaged. They maybe go into their room, isolating themselves away from the family or talking to their friends more. Um, that's kind of what we see a little bit more in the younger kids, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything to add, James?
Yeah, and there's also the externalizing piece too, where you might see someone that's a little bit more irritable, or they may act out behaviorally that may be out of character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, as a parent, how can we tell if our child is dealing with stress or just simply going through a hard time or having a hard day? Amanda?
Yeah. And sometimes it is hard to figure out, like, is this just a one day blip, like a phase, or is this something more serious? And really, we got to find a way to inquire without badgering. So you want to kind of put feelers out and try to find a way to make a conversation with your kids and teens. And sometimes that can be done verbally, or sometimes maybe you have to use another modality like a journal, or maybe a board game, a card game. How was your day? What's going on? I noticed that you're a little quieter than usual. You want to find a way to open up the conversation in kind of a brief, non-threatening sort of way. And I find that games and kind of art modalities sometimes are a way to get kids more comfortable getting it off their chest.
Dr. Amanda, I get a lot of parents who are like, exactly what you're saying, unable to say, is this just a quirk with my teenager or my, a school age child, or is this, really a thing I need to focus on? And I often tell them, if this is something new, something out of their personality, something that wasn't there before, but now has presented itself, that should be something pay attention to, or it's worsening. This is something that is part of their, makeup, but it's gotten to the point it's interfering with their life. They can't go to school. They can't interact with their friends. And then at that, when you see those patterns, reaching out to folks like yourself, if they their kid won't talk to them, or they feel like they're not able, or it's gotten to a point, I really need some help. But that's where the parents really struggle with, Dr. James and Dr. Amanda, is that differentiation between what is the typical developmental phase my kid's going through, and what is a stressor that I really need, that's a trigger here that I need to pay attention to.
Yeah, and James, I'll let you speak in just a minute, but really looking for a pattern. Like, is this something that's sticking for more than just a few days? Is this becoming like so bad that we're seeing it for weeks on end and it's interfering with school and social functioning? I'll let you add some to that, James.
Yeah, and like we mentioned at the beginning, this is a great time to talk about stress. So we might have to see what's going on environmentally. And some parents are really active and talk to their teachers so they know that there's like a big test coming, or that, these huge events are happening. So those could be in play too.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so are some stressors okay to have? I mean, some stress is good. I mean, you're going to have tests. There's some things that are in your life that, that is going to be there. I can't take that away from you, but I might be able to help you manage it better, or be there to listen to you, or get you the support you need. But we can't take stress away from children altogether. That's an impossibility, right, you guys?
Good point. Good point. Exactly.
And not even healthy for them. If you're like, I want you to have a stress-free life, no stress-free, I'm thinking you're creating more of a problem if you give kids that messaging.
Yeah, then they'll be stressed about having stressed. But no, like a certain amount of stress is normal. And, we're here to talk about how you all as parents can help model, fun and appropriate stress management in a way where the children and teens can realize, there's going to be tough times, but there are strategies to get through it.
Mm-hmm. And with those strategies, say I'm a really stressed out parent and I am having a really hard time kind of emotionally regulating myself and managing my own stress. What coping tips do you guys have to help me as the parent, so then when I can go to care for my child, that I'm able to do that?
That's a great question, Gabby. James, I'm going to let you answer this one first.
I mean, one of the things that, I like to give parents too is something called diaphragmatic breathing, where it's like a controlled breathing that it allows you to take a little step back before engaging with your child or anything that might be of a stressor. And sometimes that little moment can help, because a lot of the times we're reacting to things that are happening.
So how do we do that kind of diet? I'm going to say it wrong.
That breathing technique.
So it's okay. I like to call it belly breathing, because when we take it, I usually walk them through taking a deep breath through their nose, and all the air is going to go to their belly. They're going to hold it for a little bit and then slowly exhale out of their mouth, like they're blowing a candle, blowing bubbles, something like that.
Yeah,
Just
and
yesterday, I
control.
was teaching a class. I was teaching a class with some parents, and I said, when we get upset, we stop breathing. We literally stop breathing. And so a deep breath is such a good thing you can do in a couple of seconds that can just change the whole, approach to that. But I also tell parents, let's take a reality check on the essentials. Sometimes we have too much on our plate. Just, if you just wrote down all the things you're doing in a day and, what is essential that I must do here versus what is, I'm just saying yes. Again, Gabby and I were just talking about saying yes too much to everything and setting, check your expectations before you wreck your expectations. Sometimes too much, you want everything to be here and must be perfect or, do a little reality check of what you can and cannot do. And I think when you get down to some essentials, you relieve some of that stress that you might be having and the expectations for the things I have to do, but do I have to do them at this level or every day? Does the house have to be, super clean every single day? And doing some of that sometimes relieves parents' stress level. But I love the air. Thank you for that, Dr. James.
Yeah.
For
Great
those
point, Bridget. Great point with prioritizing and really recalibrating what is an essential task. And really like that is one thing I would say too is like you can start problem solving by really laying out what has to get done and let's put it in an order that's manageable where we can take these gradual steps to reduce the stress and get what needs to get done right away, done. And then some other stuff can go to the wayside until tomorrow or until later.
Yeah. I think doing that where you in front of your kids, like together, so kids can see mom is doing that. She's writing that down. And then they can write down their own stressors too, because that modeling speaks a lot. You can tell your kids you need to be less stressed out. But if you're looking all stressed all over the place, then they're not going to do any of that. So I like that list, writing out the list of things that are essential and non essential. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, that's great. So if you're watching live as we're talking, you can practice the belly breathing as you're listening to us right now. So what about those kids that maybe come into the clinic that have really high expectations of themselves? And it might not even be, parents or coaches putting that pressure on them. Maybe that they do it to themselves. How can we kind of help them manage their stress without adding more pressure onto them?
What are you thinking, Dr. James? I'll let you answer this one first again. How do we help those kiddos?
My approach is always normalizing that mistakes are okay and it's a part of the learning process. We may not get it this time immediately, but it's going to help us when we face that situation again. And just coming to like that realization that, yeah, it's okay to have these mistakes and it's almost impossible to be perfect.
And even working with them on being able to experience what a mistake is like and knowing that they lived through it. The worst thing did not happen through a mistake. So exposing them to sometimes making a mistake on purpose. And look, you were able to get through that. Because those kids that continuously hold themselves to such high perfectionistic standards, it really takes a toll on their functioning the longer and longer they do it. So we really want to get them more comfortable with the discomfort of making a mistake and messing up. Because as we've said before, it's bound to happen.
Yeah, we talk about in our classes, praising attempts. That means that a child didn't actually succeed. They are trying, and we want kids to try. When kids stop trying, that can be a problem. And I remember that when my son was little, I told Gabby this story before. When my son was little, he was trying to tie his shoes, right? And I was in a hurry. Now, I could have easily said, look, let me tie that shoe and let's go. But I let him struggle in my presence. And eventually one day he did learn to tie his shoe and he was like 10 feet tall. I couldn't have bought that feeling for him. I could not. And I realized right then and there that I needed to let my son struggle in my presence with things he could be challenged by, but wouldn't overtake him, but let him know that I'm still here. I'm available to you, but I'm not going to swoop in and take it over for you. And I really do believe what you're saying with that, Dr. Amanda, that kids need the opportunity to know that they can face challenges and it's okay to fail and it's okay to try again.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Definitely.
We just have a few more questions on our list here. So if you have a question relating to stress or anything parenting, go ahead and leave it in the comments of this video. And of course, if you're watching this video later on, maybe tonight or over the next few days, maybe you find this video on YouTube a year from now and you have another question, feel free to leave it in the comments and we can help you get the resource that you need. So let's talk communication. How important is open communication, open and ongoing communication between parents and children in times of stress?
Yeah, pretty essential, I'd say. But the tricky part is, how do we get our stressed out kiddos to talk to us? It's important, but I want to remind you guys, it's going to take some time to get your child to be comfortable enough opening up about what's bothering them. And again, we have to tap into other ways, and maybe through journaling, leaving a notebook out, or maybe even playing Feelings Candyland. That's a great one that I like to use, where you take the typical Candyland game, but each colored square, it represents a different emotion. And when you land on the different colors, you are sharing a time you felt like yellow is happy, green is disgust, or maybe discomfort, red, mad, purple, scared. I kind of use inspiration from Disney's Inside Out. Yeah. But no, even something like that, where it's like, or Uno cards for the older kids who are a little too old for Feelings Candyland. How can we make it normal and more comfortable to talk about our feelings and potential stressors through activities like board games or art stuff?
Yeah, our Boys Town Press has some really great books on the topic of stress and kids that, besides the games, which I think is perfect, and I'm going to tell all of my parents and trainers to use that. But also the Boys Town Press has a great way just to open up the conversation about another child feeling stressed out or anxious or whatever, and how to start that conversation with young people. I tell parents all the time is just be a good listener is to be a good communicator. Lots of times kids are testing whether we are going to listen or judge them, or whether we're going to be empathetic and just create the safe space and time for them, right? And so I tell them, don't lean in with talking, lean in with listening.
A listening ear.
What do you think, James? I want to hear your 2 cents about this topic.
Well, yeah, I would like to add on to that like you said, the kids use this as an experiment, that the next time there is something, I've mentioned this before and I got reprimanded for that. That's not creating a safe environment. So we want to make sure that the kids feel safe, that they can truly express how they feel without being judged. And I would say that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. I used to take these 15-minute dates with my son where we'd be in the car, we'd go around the corner, get a pop, do something. And I would just not be talking. And I'd let him talk or listen to music and tell me some crazy joke he had or whatever. But he just learned over time with this was the space. And, maybe we would talk and maybe we wouldn't. And I was fine with that. And so and he eventually started talking to me a lot. My husband got a little jealous. He's like, why does he tell you everything?
Because I listen and I acknowledge. I don't judge. It sounds like
space. Yeah.
No, well said. Because that's important too. Like, even as they're talking about their experience, sometimes I work with parents that tell me in confidence, Amanda, that's not even something to be stressed about. Really? That little thing? Be careful not to do that when your kid is finally telling you what's going on. You want to acknowledge that you truly heard and that you get it. You understand in their developmental context. While you might not necessarily agree or think it's as big a deal as they do, really reflecting back that you're truly listening and acknowledging what you heard it works wonders to get the kids to continue confiding in you and telling you what's going on in their life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can like validate how they feel. Just let them know that they're heard.
Mhm. It's a great point. Validation is really key. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially, I think about the things that I was stressed out as a high schooler that, like we talked about, seemed really like it was the end of the world at that point in life. And of course, years and years later, you can look back and say, especially when you're a parent, like, oh, come on, it's really not that big of a deal. But in that moment, as the kid, it totally is. And just like what we talked about building confidence and, struggling through those really stressful times as a kid and being able to look back and think, I got over that test, or I got through that breakup, or whatever it may be, that, okay, my confidence is built there because I am growing resilience through those experiences. So great.
I tell parents, don't force it. Please don't force kids to talk to you. We're going to talk, little mister, we're going to lock you guys in here until we, don't do that. It's really detrimental to try to force a child. They really won't tell you anything if you try to force that on them. And if you feel like you're giving them space and place and time, but they're still not talking, it's good. It's okay to reach out to docs like Dr. James and Dr. Amanda, because sometimes having someone else can be also helpful to you and not just say, well, I'm not going to reach out. Go ahead. It's okay. We're here.
And to continue with what you're saying, Bridget, I want to make sure our families understand that here at our clinic, we like to involve parents, at the appropriate time. So once we get a kid talking, we're going to try to facilitate them being comfortable talking to you. So I don't want parents to think, what, I'm going to bring them to a therapist and then I'm still going to be in the dark. No, it's really important to us, all of Boys Town. We want to work with the whole family. So we are going to, include you and teach you some of the skills that we use to get the kids talking. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. James? What would you add
Yeah,
to that, if
for
anything?
sure. And it's definitely something that, I think building that trust with the kid, like the teenager or whatnot first, and just like I like to facilitate that. Yeah, if you want to tell mom or dad with me in the room, we could do that just so that they're comfortable. It's just something that like the whole idea is for them to feel comfortable just sharing that and being in a neutral space.
Did you guys include the parents at some point? Because lots of moms and dads feel like, I don't know, and I'm a little concerned, and they feel left out. So that is really cool. I think also parents have to do their own self-care that, on a
Oh,
daily
yeah.
basis. To eliminate some of the unessential activities they're doing that's causing them more stress, and getting the help they need so they can relieve their stress, like with people like yourself. But approaching stress in, not adding more stress, like you don't, cure stress with more stress, but, kind of getting parents to a point where they maybe reduce technology in the house. I think, that FOMO kind of
Oh,
attitude
yeah.
creates more stress. Doing more physical things with their kiddos. 20-minute walk can be a wonderful thing. Learning to daydream. Yeah, my mom used to swing on a swing in the front porch. People don't have front porches to swing too much anymore. But, just taking that time to slow down the household and do consideration for other people. I used to take my son to go do considerate things for other people, and he got a real aha, like my life isn't as bad. Maybe I should, take an assessment of, well, other people are really struggling and I can help other people. Now I feel better about me. So I hope the parents do reach out to you guys and learn self-care so they can care for their kiddos too.
Thanks, Bridget. Well said. Yeah, that taking care of yourself piece, it's not selfish, parents. It's like, where am I going to find the time? But even 5 minutes to deep breathe, put some makeup on, listen to your favorite upbeat song, it's going to do wonders. And remember, you're modeling that for your children, and they need to see that, and they benefit greatly from that. And even that giving back piece too. If you guys can find time each month to just give back to a family in need or do some volunteer work, that too, that giving back piece, it's just very, very powerful.
Yeah, definitely. James, anything to add?
But no, I think they covered everything.
Yes.
You were thinking, James.
Yes, we read your mind. Wonderful. Well, James and Amanda, if the viewers are watching and would like to reach out to you at the clinic, should they call directly? Do they need to go through their pediatrician? How does that work?
Yeah, they can call the clinic directly. Our phone number is 407-853-7700. We have a wonderful clinic services representative that will take your call and your insurance information. We accept commercial insurances, Medicaid. Yeah, just give us a call and we'll be happy to get you paired with the best fit and clinician, given what behaviors are of concern.
Yeah, perfect.
And the
And
same thing with parenting. We're here. You can get us online, or you can call us at 531-355-1059 if you're in our time zones. But we do have CSPs all across the country that will serve you online or in person. But please call us, because sometimes when you're in a class with other parents, you feel like, hey, other people just like me experiencing the same stressed out situation, and there's ways to get help. So give us a call.
give us a call, and of course, we'll link all of the information that we've mentioned, as well as some additional resources on stress from Boys Town Parenting in the comments section. Thank you all so much for joining, and thank you for helping us and giving us all this advice today.
Awesome. It was fun. Thanks for having us.
We'll have you back.
The parents find this useful.
Yes, we will have you back very soon, and have a great rest of your week, everyone. We'll be live next month, and make sure you like this video. Thanks.
Bye.